Your cat is watching you sleep. Here's the terrifying reason why. You wake up. It's 3 a.m. The room is dark. The house is silent. And there, at the edge of the bed, your cat is sitting perfectly still, not sleeping, not moving, just watching you. Its eyes catch the dark like 2 small flames, unblinking, patient, completely focused on you. You've seen this before. Maybe you smiled, rolled over, and went back to sleep. But here's what nobody tells you, what nobody wants you to think about. Your cat isn't just watching you, it's reading you, scanning you, detecting things about your body that no doctor's machine can find. And in some cases, it already knows something is wrong, something you don't know yet. In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you 5 things about why your cat watches you sleep, and not one of them is what you think. We're going to talk about a nursing home cat that predicted over 100 human deaths with an accuracy so precise that doctors used him as a medical instrument. We'll talk about cat owners who discovered they were dying in their sleep every night and had no idea until their cat told them. We'll go back 10,000 years to a civilization that understood exactly what a cat watching a sleeping human meant and built a religion around it. And at the end, I'm going to leave you with one question, a question that, once you hear it, you will never be able to look at your cat the same way again. Stay with me, because what your cat knows about you while you sleep is more terrifying and more extraordinary than anything you've been told. The first reason, the biological scanner. Let's start with what's actually happening inside your cat's body when it sits there in the dark and watches you breathe. Your cat's nose has approximately 200 million scent receptors. Yours has 5 million. To put that in perspective, your cat's sense of smell is not just better than yours, it exists in a completely different dimension. It detects chemical signals you don't even know are being released, from sources you can't see, in concentrations you can't begin to measure. But the nose is only half of it, because your cat also has something you don't have at all. It's called the vomeronasal organ, also known as Jacobson's organ. It sits on the roof of your cat's mouth, a second, entirely separate olfactory system. Its only job is to detect pheromones, chemical signals released by living bodies that carry biological information, health status, emotional state, hormonal changes, things that, in the human world, are completely invisible. In your cat's world, they fill the air like neon signs. Now here's where it starts to get unsettling. When the human body is under stress, when something is wrong, when disease is present, or when cells begin to break down, the body releases what scientists call volatile organic compounds, VOCs, chemical byproducts of biological dysfunction. These VOCs change your scent, subtly, gradually, in ways no human can detect. But your cat detects them the moment they appear. And this is what it's doing while you sleep every single night. It isn't staring at you because it loves you. It's running a scan, a full, automatic, biological analysis of your body's chemical output. And it's been doing this every night since the first night you brought it home. The question is, what happens when it finds something? The cat that predicted 100 deaths. In 2005, a small kitten arrived at the Steerhouse Nursing and Rehabilitation Center in Providence, Rhode Island. The facility cared for patients in the advanced stages of Alzheimer's disease and dementia, people who had lost most of their ability to speak, to remember, to recognize the faces of people they'd loved for decades. The kitten's name was Oscar. He was, by most accounts, not a particularly friendly cat. He kept to himself, hid under beds, avoided most people, but every day, Oscar would do something unusual. He would walk the halls of the 3rd floor, slowly, room by room. He would pause at each doorway, sniff the air, move on, and then, sometimes, he would stop. He would enter a room, jump onto the bed, and curl up next to a specific patient. The staff didn't think much of it at first, until they noticed the pattern. Every patient Oscar chose to lie beside died within hours. Not days, not weeks. Hours. The staff began to pay attention. Then they began to track it. And what they found was so consistent, so precise, so medically impossible to dismiss, that in 2007, a geriatrician from Brown University named Dr. David Dosa published Oscar's story in the New England Journal of Medicine, one of the most respected medical publications on the planet. Dr. Dosa described Oscar's behavior in clinical detail. Oscar would pace the halls, he would approach rooms, he would sniff, assess, and move on until he found the one. When he did, the staff knew. They would immediately call the patient's family. Come now, they would say, come and say goodbye. Oscar has chosen, and every time, without exception, the family would arrive, and the patient would die. By 2010, Oscar had accurately predicted 50 deaths. By 2015, the number had reached 100. 100 human beings, whose final hours were known in advance not by any doctor, not by any machine, but by a cat sitting silently at their bedside. And here's the detail that stops everyone cold. Once, the nurses placed Oscar on the bed of a patient they believed was close to to death. Oscar immediately left the room. He walked down the hall and settled beside a different patient. The nurses followed, confused. The original patient, the one they had chosen, lived for 2 more days. The patient Oscar chose died that evening. His judgment was better than theirs. Scientists believe Oscar was detecting ketones, the chemical compounds released when human cells begin the process of dying. A scent so faint, so specific, that no instrument in that hospital could pick it up, but Oscar could, every time. Now, think about what this means for your cat, sitting at the foot of your bed, in the dark, while you sleep, running the same scan. The cats that discovered their owners were dying in their sleep. Now I want to tell you about a different kind of night watch, not the end of life, something that happens to millions of people, right now, completely undetected. It's called sleep apnea. It's a condition where your breathing stops, repeatedly, while you sleep. Sometimes for 10 seconds, sometimes 30, sometimes more, dozens of times a night, hundreds. And most people who have it have absolutely no idea. They wake up tired, they assume they slept badly, they push through their days in a fog of exhaustion they can't explain. What they don't know is that every night, their body is fighting for breath while their mind is somewhere else entirely. But in households around the world, cats knew. There is a forum used by people who have been diagnosed with sleep apnea and use CPAP machines to treat it. A real specific medical community. And on that forum, a thread exists that has been read by hundreds of thousands of people. It begins with this story. A woman noticed her cat was waking her up every night, the same time, between 2 and 2:30 in the morning. Not for food, not for attention. The cat would approach her face and headbutt her hard, repeatedly, until she woke up. She was frustrated. She was exhausted. She mentioned it to her doctor almost as an afterthought. Her doctor, who also had a cat, sent her for a sleep study. The results came back. Her worst breathing events, the moments when her oxygen dropped most dangerously, happened between 2 and 2:30 a.m., the exact window her cat had been waking her every single night. After she got her CPAP machine, she put it on for the first time. Her cat walked over, sniffed the mask, sniffed the machine, and went to sleep. It never woke her again. In the same forum thread, another person described their rescue cat, an animal so aggressive when it arrived at the shelter that it had been returned multiple times, difficult, antisocial. But this cat had claimed one person in the household as its own, and every night, when that person stopped breathing in their sleep, the cat woke them up. The moment the person began using a CPAP machine, the cat slept through the night, undisturbed, because the problem was gone. The cat had solved it. A 2019 study published in the journal Sleep and Breathing confirmed that animals can detect sleep apnea through scent alone, through the chemical changes the condition creates in the body's biological output. Your cat's nose pressing into your face at 3 in the morning may not be an annoyance. It may be the most important alarm you own, and most people push it away, close the bedroom door, train themselves to sleep through it, not understanding that on the other side of that door, something is watching, waiting, trying to tell you something. The cancer signal. There is one more thing your cat may be detecting while you sleep, and this one I want you to hear carefully. Cancer. Abnormal cells, tumors, malignancies, disease in its earliest stages release their own volatile organic compounds, their own chemical signatures, byproducts of cells that are growing wrong, dividing wrong, consuming resources in ways healthy tissue doesn't. These signatures reach the surface of your body, into your breath, into your sweat, into the air around you while you lie still in a dark room. A 2019 paper published in Oncoscience, indexed by the National Institutes of Health, reviewed documented cases of pets detecting cancer in their owners and concluded that rudimentary pet diagnosis has enough scientific basis to be considered a real phenomenon. There are documented reports, real cases, of cats repeatedly sniffing, pawing, or resting on specific parts of their owners' bodies, parts that were later found to contain tumors. One woman described her cat pressing itself to her left side night after night for weeks. She finally went to a doctor. They found something. Another woman, already diagnosed with an inoperable brain tumor, described how her previously distant rescue cat suddenly refused to leave her side at night. It hovered during her absent seizures. It sat on her lap afterward, pressing close, as though checking whether she was still there. She said, "She definitely can sense things." These are not isolated stories. They are a pattern that science is only beginning to understand, but that cats have been enacting for 10,000 years. The ancient truth. 10,000 years of cats watching sleeping humans. Here is what I want you to understand. This isn't new. The cat watching the sleeping human, this is not a quirk of your particular pet. It is not a random behavior that started with your specific relationship. It is 10,000 years old. When cats first moved into human settlements, approximately 10 millennia ago in the ancient Near East and the Nile Valley, they didn't come because humans invited them. They came because they chose to. They found a situation that benefited them: shelter, food, the warmth of a fire, the safety of walls. And in exchange, without being asked, without being trained, they did something. They watched at night while the humans slept, while the grain stores sat vulnerable, while children lay unprotected in the dark. The cats moved through that darkness, alert, scanning, detecting, killing the snakes that slid through doorways, the rats that gnawed through stores, the scorpions that hid in sleeping mats. The ancient Egyptians, who watched this happen for thousands of years, understood what they were seeing. They didn't just appreciate it, they worshipped it. The goddess Bastet, depicted as a cat, was the protector of the home, the guardian of sleeping families, the force that stood between the household and the chaos of the night. The goddess Mafdet, older still, was justice itself, swift, precise, nocturnal force, used only when something threatened order. Both were cats, both watched, both acted only when necessary. Egyptians did not lock cats out of bedrooms. They did not push them away in the night. They understood, at a civilizational level, that the cat watching the sleeping human was not an inconvenience. It was protection so ancient, so instinctual, so deeply embedded in the feline genetic code that 10,000 years of domestication have not touched it. Tonight, when your cat sits at the foot of your bed in the dark, it is doing exactly what its ancestors did 10 millennia ago. It is running its watch. It is keeping you safe from things you can't even see. So here is the question I promised you, the one that changes everything. Think about every time your cat has woken you up at night. Every time it sat on your chest, or pressed its face to yours, or paced the bed, or stared at you in the dark with those unblinking eyes. How many times did you push it away? How many times did you close the door? How many times did you assume it wanted food, or attention, or was simply being a cat, and you went back to sleep without a second thought? Now you know what it was doing. It was scanning you with a biological instrument 40 times more sensitive than anything in your body. In the one window of time, the hours you are unconscious, vulnerable, unable to monitor yourself, your cat was doing it for you every night, in the dark, without being asked, without being thanked. Oscar the cat spent 17 years sitting beside dying people who would otherwise have died alone. He never missed, not once in 100 attempts. He passed away in 2022, having given the gift of a goodbye to over 100 families who might never have had it. Stephen King, having read Oscar's story, was so disturbed and moved that he wrote a fictional cat into one of his novels whose only purpose was to sit beside the dying, because even in fiction, that image carries a truth too heavy to ignore. Your cat is not watching you sleep because it's bored. It's not watching you because it's hungry. It's watching you because somewhere in the ancient wiring of its brain, in programming that has never been switched off, you are its responsibility. You are the sleeping human it has claimed. And it will sit there in the dark for as long as it takes, watching, waiting, knowing things about you that you may never know yourself. If your cat has ever woken you up at night for no reason you could explain, share this video, because someone out there needs to hear it, and their cat has been trying to tell them something.